Let's turn now to former National Security Advisor to President Obama, Susan Rice. Her recent book is titled Tough Love: My Story of the Things Worth Fighting For. Ambassador Rice, it's great to have you on the show this morning. I want to ask you first, just from a national security perspective, what you make of the president's reported plan to stand up relatively early in the night tomorrow night and to declare victory. As we've said here, we'll be on Peacock TV. We won't take those comments if he makes them. But what do you make of what that could mean for the country? What could that unleash?
Well, in the first instance, Willie, I think we all need to be calm. We need to be patient. We need to recognize, as you've said many times this morning and many days before today, this is going to be a process where we have to be patient. We're not going to know the results necessarily in a number of very important states. And the most important thing we all can do for our democracy, for our national security, is to get out and vote, to make sure that every one of us who has not yet made it to the polls, not yet dropped off their mail-in ballot in a drop box, does so, because at the end of the day, the American people are going to decide this election, not Donald Trump and his lies and his rhetoric and his efforts to sow confusion and chaos. It's going to be the American people. And if we all get out and vote, I am confident that we will have an outcome that reflects the will of the American people. I believe that means Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be going to the White House. But whatever the outcome, it needs to be that which is decided by the people, not Donald Trump on a whim and his effort to just, perpetuate himself in power at whatever cost. That will not fly. And
the votes will be counted. Mm-hmm. It might take a couple of days, but they will be counted legally. They'll be counted fairly. And those couple of days will not mean there is fraud or a rigged election. It will mean the process is working the way it is supposed to work in those states. On the other count, Ambassador Rice, about foreign interference. We talked so much about it after the 2016 election. Are you and the people in your national security circle seeing as much of it this time around? How much should we be thinking about that here?
Well, I think we definitely have to understand it as a factor. And the threat comes principally from Russia, despite the Trump administration's efforts to confuse us about that. And Russia will be persistent. And we need to look for the potential that after the election, after Tuesday, in this period of protracted counting and uncertainty, that they get on the bandwagon, it seems, in conjunction with Donald Trump, to try to sow concern and chaos. The FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, have warned about that, and we can't fall for it. We know the trick now. They've done it. They've been running this play on us now for some years. The American people need to be smart. We need to be wise about how we consume our information. Double check and triple check. Don't believe everything that comes across your Facebook page or across Twitter. And we need you all in the media, as you're saying you will, to be extremely careful and responsible about what you report. And then we need to recognize yet again that the Russians aren't going to decide this. Donald Trump is not going to decide this on his own. We get to decide it as the voters. And that's why being at the polls today, tomorrow, handing in our mail-in ballots, so critically important.
Ambassador Rice, Casey Hunt has a question for you. Case?
Ambassador, good morning. To continue and follow up on Willie's question, knowing what you know now about interference in the 2016 election and how the then Obama administration handled it, is there anything you would do differently about that? And looking ahead, a lot of the members of Congress that I talk to who are focused on this say that the Trump administration has not done nearly enough to protect us. This is going to be something we're dealing with for potentially many decades. What would you need to do on day one in a potential Biden administration to try and counter this interference?
Well, first of all, as Joe Biden himself has said, if we have concrete evidence that Russia or any other player has interfered in our election again this time, there will be, again, significant consequences. That is very important. But the other thing, Casey, as you well know, covering Capitol Hill, there's legislation that has been sitting on Mitch McConnell's desk for years, months, if not years, and they have not moved it. That legislation, if enacted, would make a significant difference in bolstering our capacity to respond to foreign interference. So, yes, we have learned a lot over the years. We've learned that Russia's ability to interfere is not just its efforts to infiltrate our election systems, which is what we were particularly focused on in 2016, but it's all that they do every day on social media to pit Americans against each other, to sow disinformation, to discredit democracy. And there is more we can do, and Donald Trump obviously has an interest in seeing Russian interference continue. He's encouraged and welcomed it, not just in 2016, but every day since, including this year. And we absolutely need to shut that down.
Former National Security Advisor Susan Rice, thank you. It's always great to have you on the show. We appreciate it.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.